Hey everyone, I have very little time, so I will just be covering the map update today and we'll do the discussion part in tomorrow's video. But one comment that I want to make is that during the night around Kyiv, there was air defense working that intercepted a lot of Russian ballistic and hypersonic Kinjal missiles over Kyiv. Obviously, Russians are claiming that they hit every single target and that they hit the Patriot defense air defense system. And to that, I want to advertise you to be very, very cautious to that. We'll talk about it tomorrow. But whenever they're stating that they hit the Patriot missile system, please ask them which part, because otherwise it doesn't really make sense. If they destroyed everything with one explosion, then how does this work? Like, can you explain it to me? So going into the map update, in the north, we have basically the news that Ukrainians have successfully stalled the whole grouping that was here. We know that this grouping was here for a while. However, because Russians just didn't have any success on the Bakhmut front line, after that, oh, sorry, I should use red for Russians. After that, they've retransferred some of the troops towards the Bakhmut destination. So since then, there has not been many major advances. And this is why I am stating it is very important to distinguish between tactical and operational strategic levels of what's happening on the ground. Because this area particularly was the area where Russia used a lot of airborne units, and they deployed a lot of them modern vehicles, like Wunderwaffe, like, for example, these Terminator tanks. Remember those? Like when those first appeared in the news and all of the media, Western media, were pissing themselves. It was like, oh my God, Russian super weapon arrived. What will Ukraine do? So this just explains to you that doesn't matter how good or bad, or doesn't matter what kind of weapon, 20 vehicles will not change the situation on the battlefield unless those are HIMARS that are delivered to Ukraine. But we're going to talk about it tomorrow. So Seversk direction, that means, is almost completely safe from the Russian aggression. Then let's talk about Bakhmut. What is the big picture of it? The big picture is that while right now people are still reporting on the advances within the Bakhmut city, and Ukraine is counterattacking on the flanks of the Bakhmut city, what we need to understand is that Bakhmut did its job, right? Right now, it doesn't really matter anymore if the city is there or not there. It did plenty of the job that it was supposed to. It prevented Russians, it stopped Russians dead in its track. It didn't allow them to go further. It grinded out a lot of the Russian offensive capabilities, and it entangled a lot of the Russian firepower. So current discussion that there is the last piece of Bakhmut that is still not taken by the Russians and its Ukrainians are being squeezed out. Well, to be honest, does it really matter by this point? Because we are already on the dawn of the big part of the counteroffensive, like the main battle. We already see the smaller successes, like a precursor to that, what's happening on the flanks. And more importantly, if the situation of flanks will be developing, and it is developing, we are hearing more and more news that Ukrainians are successfully advancing, and I'll just quickly show you the main directions. It is from Orikhovo-Vasilievka. It is here towards Berkhivka, towards this. We're gonna see close up. It is south from Ivanivske. It is kinda to the west from Klishivka, and it is to the west of Kurdyumivka. Those are the main points of attack by the Ukrainian military. What they were able to do is they were able to utilize the surprise momentum, which we talked about last time, but also they are now having some kind of new tactics, new kind of approaches that are delivering results. And Russians so far have not adapted to it. And to focus on the situation a little bit closer, let's go over this. So as I said, in the north, what we're interested in is for Ukrainians. As you can see, I was saying that they probably will attack from Orikhovo-Vasilievka, and they indeed do, as shown here. But so far, Ukrainians have been able to do a little bit of success here. This is kind of the main part of success. because here are the hills that are kind of overseeing around Chromove, that are overseeing Berchivka. So that's a very nice start for the Ukrainian offensive. It would be nice if they kind of continue towards Yahidne to clear. There's like I actually am going to switch to the topographic map so you can see. So if you will check it out, this is a little bit southern. There we go. This is Berchivka, this is Yahidne. So Ukrainians would be something like they are right now, somewhere right here. And it would be nice if they kind of take this whole mountain, well, it's mountain. Sorry, I mean all of these hills with a settlement, and in that sense, they would be able to oversee all of this area that is down from that side. So that would just allow basically control over this whole crossing area. Because right now, obviously, the target of Ukrainians that would be very nice is the control of this crossing, because that would pretty much cut any kind of proper supplies to everything that is left to it. And this would essentially allow almost to establish the previous line towards Paraskovivka, towards Krasna Hora. And it's a kind of nice setup to start occupying this northern wing of Ukrainian advances. Again, I'm pretty sure there are more important, more to the point tactical analysis of the situation. But generally speaking, if there is one thing that I understood about this war so far, that it's mostly about where is the defense positions, where is the defense lines on the map, such as like railroads, big roads, some kind of lakes, rivers, stuff like that. And second one, where is the hills that are overlooking certain positions that allow for easier scouting of target, verifications of attacks, and so on and so on and so on. Inside of Bakhmut right now, people go really in depth again. Where do Russians attack? Russians are advancing towards this street. This is kind of the last block that I, some couple of weeks or so, was talking about, that this is the last block of defense that Ukrainians are having. So Russians here are trying to cut them in half, having one part of Ukrainians here, one part of Ukrainians here. There are ways to fall back for Ukrainians, so it's not like that they're encircled or not. But again, it's a very nominal victory, even if Russians here are overtaking Ukrainians. More important part is happening here on the south. We see movement of Ukrainians towards the south, and we see movement of Ukrainians towards the east. Now, why is this important? I already explained to you that the big defensive position is here on the Klishivka, and this would be like a golden target, because in the same part of that what I said about the north, this would help Ukraine to basically establish control around the southern part, like this chain. I will switch to the topographic map right back. So if we go just down towards Ivanivske, we will very clearly see that Ukrainians are basically were attacking along the hill, so trying to get to the top of the hill and so on. And they were also attacking along the hill from the west. So now if they get to this line here, they will basically oversee Klishivka, they will oversee Opytne, and they will open their attack possibilities further on. So that's just the situation around Bakhmut. But again, there are other channels that are covering this in tactics a lot better. Just what we need to know is that Ukrainians are continuing still doing the advances along the flanks of Bakhmut, and I'm still getting good news, especially the attack here around Kurdyumivka, because if Kurdyumivka can be undermined, then this puts a question what's going to happen with the group right here, because Ukrainians are pushing from all sides. That's the question on the battlefield. In the rest, we've heard that around Avdiivka, Russians were having a little bit of a success by taking Kamenka over here, at least what's left of it. But generally speaking, again, the only thing that majorly we're seeing reported is that any kind of attacks that Russians are trying to do towards Avdiivka proper are just failing and Russians getting burned. That's it for the map update. We're going to cover and talk more about the more important things that are covering the war in itself. There's a lot of things to talk about. Storm Shadow, there is Kyiv air defense. What does it mean for the victory of Ukraine. We're going to talk about many other good points on how Zelensky's trip throughout Europe actually benefited Ukraine's strategic objectives. But most important that I want to ask you right now is that I've actually finally started getting a campaign to support the armed forces of Ukraine directly. So not just like advertising the United 24, so you donate the money, so I donate the money myself. Instead, I propose now that we join forces, because friends from the 69th Sniffing Brigade of NATO, we've talked with them and we started a first ever campaign to get a truck to the Ukrainian Armed Forces 3rd Rifle Battalion. Help me support the Armed Forces of Ukraine. Donate to the 3rd Rifle Battalion that we're gathering a truck for. All of this in the description below. I love you all, guys. We're going to talk more tomorrow. I'll see you next time.